See. No. There I am. Okay. Hello. Let's see if I can. Okay. That's as big as my face gets, apparently. Hi, welcome to this live. I just realized 5 minutes ago that this is Thanksgiving night, so I'm sorry to the American audience. Well, I had decided on doing the live streams on Thursdays at this time, so yeah, I'm just sticking to the schedule, but it was a bit of a mismatch because the title for this live stream is should you stay or should you leave if you're having kids with a narcissist? So perhaps not the best day to do this live on Thanksgiving, but perhaps it is, because we will get right to the pain point when it comes to this decision, stay or leave, when you're having kids with a narcissist. So I see that we have some people here. Welcome. How is your Thursday? Here in Sweden, it's a bit late in the evening, so it's 11 p.m. here. But I've had a good day, and I've been ice skating with my kids, actually. And then I will show you. I'm knitting on this. It's a sweater. So in one of the videos, I did show that I had just started on this sweater, but now you can see it progressing. So eventually I will put it on and have it in one of my videos. So that's what I've been up to today. And all of these, so I've had quite a good day, relaxing, and I've done some things that were fun. And I'm sitting here in my kitchen. There is some dishes on the counter, but I'm not bothered by that. So after this live stream is over, I will brush my teeth and go to bed, perhaps read a bit before I sleep. And these are all things that I would not have been able to do while I was in that relationship. So we'll come to that. But it's a big difference, my life now out of that relationship, and compared with how I was feeling and doing in my abusive marriage. It's like night and day. But as I said, the topic is this decision: if you're having children with a narcissistic or abusive partner, should you stay with that partner or should you plan to leave? And it's a very, very hard and difficult decision because of a lot of reasons. It is much harder to make this decision when you're in an abusive relationship compared with and like a non-abusive relationship that is like the love is gone or it is breaking down, and that may also be difficult to make this decision if you should stay or leave. But if the relationship is also abusive, the relationship in itself is confusing, and often your ability to make decision has been under attack for years. And there are a lot of things that tie you down in that relationship. There is obligation. There is often something that they also like to repeat this message into you, that staying keeping the family unit intact is very important. And if you were to leave, you would betray them. They will often say things like, yeah, it's your obligation to stay and to be there for the kids. And if they are abusive or doing things to hurt you, or obstructing you in the relationship, you may be even like, you may have this feeling, I had this feeling that if I leave, he will sabotage me or make things very difficult. And if I leave, something bad will happen. And then you wonder, so what will because when you are a parent, you want to protect your kids. You want the best for them. You want them to have a good future. And part of that is that you wish for them to have this stable family unit with a mom and a dad, and the love and stability. And we have this, I think it's a bit of a modern thing actually, that we want our kids to have this very harmonic upbringing without any sorrows or pain. That was not something that we could give to kids in the past. So sorrow and pain and death and things like that were part of life. But we really wish to give them the best, of course. And then there is this decision. So what is best for the children? Is it better to stay, or is it better to leave? And what will happen? And how can I shake this? How could I make a decision that affects them in a bad way? And often, so I stayed for many years in my abusive marriage because in my mind that was the better thing to do for my kids. So they had a stable home. They had their parents there, even though their father was not very present. At least I was a stable adult. I was working. They had their friends, they had school, they were doing good in school. And I figured that, well, I'm already kind of living as a single mother in this marriage. So if I leave, it wouldn't be much different. The only difference would be that, well, then they won't have their father sometimes present. And I figured that it's better for them to have him there. And I thought that while he did treat me cold or harsh, most of that happened when they did not see. And I thought for years that, well, he is at least trying to be a good father. So when he was there, he did put in some effort with the kids. But as time progressed and the kids were becoming older, I started to see things from another perspective. When the kids were small, yes, he was in periods or during certain times of the day, he was engaging with them. But as they grew, as children grow, they become a bit more difficult to handle. So when you have a toddler, yes, they can have some anger outbursts, but they are quite small, and especially if you only interact with them like half an hour or an hour a day. It is not the same kind of conflict that happens when they are a bit older. So when they grew a bit, he was not able to handle that. And also our relationship, so the abuse was escalating, and what I thought was him trying to be a good father was actually him like idealizing our kids. And so yeah, now I'm like, this is kind of hard to explain, but narcissistic persons have this need to idealize someone. So someone becomes their golden child or golden person, and then they have the need to scapegoat someone and blame someone. And I had become that person that he blamed for everything, and he put the responsibilities on me, while he was sort of love bombing or idealizing our kids. So that meant that our children was really happy to when they saw him, because he would buy them stuff and he would give like say yes to everything. And he could just be there for that moment and give them something, and then he would leave. So I would have all the parental responsibility. And that is not a healthy way to interact with kids, to just, even though it looked sweet. So it looks sweet when they hug the kids or take them out for an ice cream or something. But it became more and more apparent that he was not doing this to be a father. He was doing it to get their admiration and love and to feel like the best dad in the world, and then he would leave. So there was no real parenting there. And also, when the other partner is putting you down and abusing you and criticizing you, that creates tension in the home, and that is actually breaking down the healthy parent and affecting your ability to, your energy and your ability to be there present with the kids, because so much energy is put into thinking about him, or trying to do everything just right, or avoiding criticism. And I was struggling with burnout symptoms for years before the separation. I was trying to keep everything together, and I was trying really hard to keep everything together. But meanwhile, I was being broken down slowly. So my energy and health was diminishing. But this life is not really about me, but that's my experience. But it is about this decision. Should you stay or should you leave? But as I shared, I struggled with this decision for years, thinking that and I think that if you're struggling with this decision, it is sort of the same things. You want your kids to have a father, and you want them to have safety and stability, and you hope that things will be better. So in this abusive relationship, we cling to the hope that, well, if I just do this, or if I just wait for the kids to be a bit older, or for our finances to be a bit better, or for us to move to that bigger house, then things will be fine between us again. But when you are in an abusive relationship, that never happens. So things will never be fine. But because the relationship moves through a cycle, so it continuously moves, it goes up and down. You have a good period, and then there is a period when the partner is more distant and where there is more abuse, and then there is a good period returning. And because of this, this gives us hope that, well, if we just try a bit harder, or find the right method, or use their love language, then we will be able to stay in that good period. But that good period is not real. So that's a breadcrumb. That is them turning back to this a little love bomb again to keep you hooked, and because just to keep escalating the abuse, that will eventually make you see what is really going on. But if it is going up and down, then you are kept confused, and you keep trying, and you keep hoping that it will eventually be good. And that is what you're hoping for. So you're hoping for it to be good, and for your children to have this stable family with a stable father present. Okay, and see, I'm thinking. Yeah, so what is happening? That is what you're hoping for and what you are working for. But something is also happening when you are staying. So there is a price to pay for staying, and that price is also paid by the kids, because the home is emotionally not safe. And they feel this when there is a parent that is dominating and controlling the family. The kids will feel this, so they have to adjust a bit to that parent. And this is something that I didn't notice until we left. I didn't notice how much that affected us. So it is like when you have this constant sound of a fan, you stop hearing it. But when it turns off, then things become really quiet and peaceful. So I didn't appreciate just how much tension was in our home until we left. I couldn't even relax fully, even when he wasn't in the home, even when he wasn't at home during the day. I still felt like, well, he can show up. And if he did show up, I would not act. So I felt that I have to keep things in order. I have to stay busy. I can't rest too much or do things that he will think is selfish or not approve of. So he was there in the back of my mind, even when he wasn't in the home. That tension was there. And there is also the thing that abuse often escalates. So for various reasons, we don't need to go into exactly why it escalates in this video, but that is a pattern that is like, it is well known that abuse usually increases. And when you're going through this abusive cycle, every time you go through a cycle, the abusive period is a bit longer. The abuse is a bit worse, and the calm and nice period is a bit shorter. So when you're choosing, should I leave or should I stay? If you're staying, then things may not be on this level that they are now forever. So there is a risk that what is verbal abuse or emotional abuse, that will escalate. There is a risk that the control will escalate as time goes on. And then there is a risk because when you're living in this environment, your health is affected because you're always tense and there is like your base level of anxiety or stress is higher in that relationship than it would be without him. And we are often over-functioning a bit. Sleep may not be as good. And just being in an environment where you can be attacked or abused, that affects your health. And I don't know if this has been proven, but I have seen several cases of partners to abusive spouses becoming sick. And I think that Gabor Mate, this doctor from, is he from US or Canada? He talks about the connection between autoimmune diseases and stress and overfunctioning. So living in this environment, the home where there is a narcissistic spouse that is controlling and dominating that home, that's not good for your health. And okay, so those are the risks when you're thinking about staying. You're not only choosing between what your life is like there now and leaving, but you're also choosing to stay in an environment where there is a high risk of abuse escalating and your health eventually taking a hit. Yeah. So, and something I also noticed after I left was that I was not fully myself in that relationship. And I didn't notice that. If you would have asked me then, I would have said that, well, I am myself, of course. But I had never experienced as an adult living without him, without my abusive husband, and what my personality would be like when there was not that tension and where there was not that control in the home. So after leaving, I did discover different sides of myself. And I spoke about this recently in a short, that my relationship with my kids is much better now. And I think it's because there is no that tension and control, and having to adjust to him is no longer there. So we can just be ourselves and have a relationship. and it is a really lovely thing to experience. And what happens when you stay in an abusive relationship is that eventually, as I said, the kids will adjust to that person who is controlling and abusive. Even if he's not being abusive towards them, when he is bullying you or dominating the home, they are affected by that and they are adjusting to that. And eventually, the risk is that either the kids will copy him and learn from him, or they will become codependents and trying to adjust to his behavior, trying to keep him in a good mood. And they will view that home as what is normal. So there is a risk of them ending up in a toxic relationship themselves as they get a bit older. And even though you might not see the kids being abused, you don't know everything that might be going on when you are not there and watching. And this was something I realized after I left, that there had been some things that had happened in our home. He had done some things that I was not at all aware of. So having an abuser in the home, even though it feels normal. Oh, hello. Hi. Happy to have you here. Yeah, even though we feel that it is normal because we're used to having this person in the home, it is, I think, because of that normalization process, we can miss actually how much damage they can have, and that sort of, it blinds us to some of the things, some of the risks. Yeah, and something I've also seen is as the kids get older, the toxic parent turns the kids against the healthy parent. So they try to damage your relationship. Let's see, what are we talking about? It is quite late where I reside, so I might not stay long. Yeah, we're talking about if you have kids with a narcissistic partner, when you have to make the decision if you should stay or leave. So that's the topic. And I'm sharing a bit of my experience and my thoughts on it. So, and if you have other questions or questions on this topic, you're welcome to write them. Yeah, so, okay, nice to meet you too. The thing I think we need to remember is that leaving is not selfish. You did not choose this situation. You chose a stable and loving partner because that's what he portrayed himself to be when you met him and when you married. And we, of course, we want our children to have a stable home, but the toxic parent is creating at least emotional instability in the home, and often put a lot of pressure on you and on the kids that will make you adjust. And well, we have to take that into account. I think that kids don't need a perfect home. There is no such thing. They need a loving parent, and they need emotional safety more than anything, and they need to be accepted, which they are not if if they are like, if there is this controlling and toxic person in the home. But making this decision, as I said, it is very, very hard. And often there are many other factors. So when we think about leaving or staying, often we start to think about, well, how will I manage? How will I manage financially? How would I do it? What would I say to the children? And all of these things become much harder when the other partner is toxic, because there is no real, you can't sit down and communicate and discuss it. And let's see, there is a question. How self-aware do you think narcissistic individuals are? Are they malevolent or misguided? Well, I think that they are aware of what they are doing. I have met quite a few of them. They're often quite proud of themselves when they have managed to put someone down or even abuse someone. They might retell that story and be proud of it. And I think they are both malevolent and misguided. So they have this worldview that, well, there is no, like, you have to be a winner, and to be that you have to put other people down. They don't think that they can cooperate. And well, many psychologists say that a lot of what you're doing is subconscious, that they're not aware, but that's not what I've seen. See. So your question is, are they generally proud of putting people down, or do they justify, or the justification they make up for doing it? Well, I have seen that proud of putting other people down, that they will retell stories when they have put someone in their place. So I think they like that. They feel superior when they do that. But they also make justifications for what they are doing, because I think that they are aware of some of the things that they are doing is not socially acceptable, and then they will make a justification. But I'm not, well, I think that we will never get the sure answer, because how do you know what is going on inside of their mind? A lot of the knowledge that psychologists are saying, well, it's based on interviews with narcissistic individuals or on theory. But how can you make an interview with someone who does not want to look at themselves. And how can you make a theory about someone else's mind? I don't think that we will ever get a 100% sure answer, because there is no way to get that answer. So I think that it's well, we can compare theories and what other people are saying with our own experience. But even when we are comparing with our own experience, we are not inside of their mind. So we can only look to what we have seen and what they have said. Let's see. Dark personalities scare me. Their psychology is beyond me. How can someone behave in such a way consistently? Yes. Well, it is very weird that people exist that think in this manner, but it is quite common. There is a certain percentage of the population that thinks in this way, that put morals aside and that try to take advantage of other people and use them. In a way, it is scary that these people exist, but we can educate ourselves about the signs so that we can spot them. They can only use us if we are unaware of them. So I think that we don't have to be scared. We just have to educate ourselves. Let's see. Okay. And if you're watching this afterwards, you're welcome to write your questions in the comments as well. Let's see. Yes, as I said, the question if you should stay or leave, it is quite complex. And when we're trying to make this decision, we have lived in this environment, in this toxic relationship for years. It can feel very, very hard to even imagining trying to shake the status quo, making a big decision that they will criticize us for when we can't even make small decisions because of their control and criticism and abuse. But we don't have to make all of the decisions at once. So I would advise you just to, if you put everything aside, all those complex questions. So how are the finances? How would I do? How would I say it to him? Or how would I talk to the kids? And just focus on one question. What would be best in the long run? A year from now, 2 years from now, what would it be best? Would it be best if I stayed, or would it be best if I left? And try to not go into all of those details. How would it happen? And where would we go? And how will, because if you decide to leave, there will be a period that is chaotic and where things are tough. It is tough to leave one of these relationships, and especially when you have kids, to move out of that situation and readjust and start a new life. It is very, very hard. But when you're thinking just about this decision, think a bit forward. So try to think 1 or 2 years from now. What would you? What decision do you think would be best for you and for your kids? As I shared, I stayed for years because I didn't want to give up on that dream that we would have that things would get better, and the dream of that whole family for my kids. I didn't want to give up on that dream. So I stayed and tried and waited and waited until eventually, and it took time. So if you can't make a decision now, that's okay. There is a process. I think there is a process when we start to think, when we start to realize that this relationship, it may not be normal, it may be abusive or toxic. Our partner may have some issues. Perhaps he's a narcissist. Is he an abuser? Is he trying to control me? When we start to think about these questions, and when we start to realize that something is wrong, I think that there is a process that we need to go through. Let's see. This is a question that's kind of suitable. You ask, in hindsight, were there red flags in my relationship? Well, yes, there were some red flags, but I didn't know that they were red flags then, because I was not educated on abuse and because I grew up with a narcissistic mother. So I did not, there were some red flags that I did not recognize to be anything abnormal. He had some anger management issues that showed up pretty infrequently. So we were together for 21 years in total. And so from when I was 15 until 36. And when I left, we had 2 kids. So there were these anger outbursts that would come pretty infrequent, and he was also controlling me, but I didn't realize it was control. I thought it was concern, and I thought he had OCD. They weren't that big, and he was very charming and attentive for many years until I was stuck. So until the second kid came, then he changed, and that's quite common. That they don't show their true colors until it becomes hard for you to leave. And it is hard to leave. I have, so I don't know if you watch my channel or if you just happen to come in here because you saw that the channel was live, but on my channel I do have a video about how to break a trauma bond in 5 steps. And you can start to do that even if you're still in the relationship. It is helpful to start to detach a bit and to start to see what is going on. And to do that, it really helps if you start to loosen the trauma bond a bit. So I would recommend to watch that video. Of course, if you are in physical danger, if you are living with a person who is physically abusing you, then I think that it is more important to seek outside help and not try to think about this decision on your own. You can call the domestic violence hotlines and be anonymous. And if there is like a dangerous situation, you can call the police. Let's see. Another comment here. I know a lot of people like that. You mean, as I described with the red flags, with the anger and who are trying to control their partner? Is that what you're saying? When we start to understand a bit about toxic people and abuse, we can start to see this pattern in a lot of places and in a lot of other people. Not all of them are narcissistic, but yeah, it is good to be able to recognize it. Did you find a resolution for the relationship with your mother? Yes, I'm no contact with her. So, me mindset, pretty much. Yes, I think that it is getting more common. So narcissism is increasing. And I think it's also depending on which age group you are in. It is like when you are young and in your teens and early 20s, it can be normal to be a bit more egocentric. And but yes. Okay. So I spoke a bit about that it's easier to come to this decision if you're able to give it some time and working on loosening that trauma bond and detaching a bit, starting to educate yourself about abuse and noticing what is happening and what your partner is doing. And the more clearer you're able to see things, the easier it will be to make a decision for yourself. And eventually I did take this decision to leave. And when I did it. So I stayed for my kids' sake, but eventually I realized that I had to leave for their sake because I was getting burned out in that relationship, and the abuse was increasing. They were starting to see him putting me down. I didn't want them to grow up seeing those things in their home, thinking that this is what the relationship is supposed to be like. And after leaving, I'm so very happy that I took that decision. And I discovered that I was losing out on having a deeper relationship with my kids. Even though I was investing a lot of time into them, I wasn't fully myself and I wasn't fully present because he was always in the back of my mind. I was always thinking about him, my husband, that is. But now after leaving, I'm able to be relaxed and happy, and we have a better relationship. Let's see, another question about this. So, was he kind or caring to the children? Well, so he left me with all the parenting responsibilities. I was doing all the cooking and cleaning and caring for them. And then he would come home like half an hour in the evening, or taking them out on Sundays. That was a thing. So, and I thought that this was really beautiful, and that he was there and that he hugged them, but he wasn't really doing any parenting. And it started, so for years he was just sweet with the kids, but then he started to sort of put our son, so the older child, he started to put him down and favorize the younger one. So he was starting to do this golden child scapegoat thing. And I sort of reevaluated that, what I thought was really sweet, and when he was putting in attention to the kids, it was really just a very brief, like he would be there and be sweet to them and say yes to anything, and they would love him and like scream daddy, and so, and then he would leave. So, and what I saw really clearly, even though he did that, he started to favorize one child and put one child down. But also he was abusing me. He was asking me to do a lot of things that meant I didn't have enough energy to take care of them as I wanted to, but also financially abusing me. So how can I would no longer say that he was a caring father, because he did things that made life harder for them as well. And I reevaluate that. So I no longer think that that was very sweet. I think that he liked to have that attention from them when they were younger. And as they grew a bit older, he started to favorize one and put one down, and that's very sick. And that whole environment is not healthy for the kids. So you're welcome. If there are any other questions, you're welcome to write. Let's talk about it. We think that that we are the one who have to take this decision. Should we split up the family or not? But it is really the toxic person who is already taking that decision. They are choosing to abuse you and to create that environment in the home. So you are not the one who is doing that harm. And if you have, like, if the other parent is healthy, there is nothing preventing them from having a good relationship with the children, even if there is a separation. Let's see. Okay, so you say, sorry, and I hope you're doing better now. Yes, I am. It has been 2 years since I left my ex-husband. And it has been, the first year was really difficult, I have to say. And, he was also stalking us, and there was some post-separation abuse. But after that first year, and especially after a year and a half, that's when I really started to feel different, starting to feel more happy and energetic. So for me, it was a good decision to leave, and I'm very happy that I did that. But I think I had to go through a process of trying, hoping, testing things, and observing him and what was happening, and at the same time educating myself, starting to do these 5 steps of loosening the trauma bond, as I sharing in that video on my channel, 5 steps to break the trauma bond. So I did all of that, and it took me time to reach that conclusion that I have to leave. That's the only option. And he was the one who really made it impossible to stay. Okay. So I will talk a bit more, and if you have some other questions, you're welcome to write them. So I'm working on this course that is called Rebuilding Your Life After Narcissistic Abuse. And hopefully the first episode will be released next week. And I'm thinking that when I start that course, we can have, like, every Monday there will be 1 episode, and then on Thursdays the same time as now, so 5 p.m. Eastern time, 11 p.m. if you're in Central European time. Then we will have the live stream be on the same topic as that week's healing course video. So that's the plan. Okay. Have you celebrated Thanksgiving? Are there any people here from the US? I said in the beginning I didn't know that it was Thanksgiving today. We don't have that holiday in Sweden, so I discovered that after I've already planned to have this live stream. See, you're not from the States, no? Then it's just a normal Thursday. Okay, so I'm thinking I will end the live stream here if there aren't any more questions. And if you're watching it afterwards, you can write in the comments if you have some thoughts or questions on this topic. It's a hard topic and a difficult decision. Yep, just another day. Okay, I was happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. And I'm doing these live streams every week, so you're welcome to. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Okay, bye.